Hey, it's Zach again, and today I'm excited to talk with you about a subject that's going to be kind of fun for us. And the title of this lesson is 5 Questions Every Volunteer is Secretly Asking Their Leader. And so the idea of this coaching module is really for you, the leader, to get an inside look into your followers and your volunteers. What are they thinking? What are the questions that they're asking? And if we can answer these questions, if we can understand them, this is going to help us to lead more effectively. So let's start right in. Every volunteer has internal questions that they're asking. Now, some of those volunteers are going to be bold enough to ask you to your face some of this stuff, but a lot of volunteers won't be. And so if you can anticipate what's coming, if you can anticipate that these are some of the things in their mind, these are some of the questions they're asking in their heart, you're going to be on the forefront. You're going to be able to answer them before the question comes up in the first place for them. Number one is this: does what I do matter? Every volunteer is asking internally, does what I do make a difference? Does it matter? And this really goes to a leader's ability to convey vision for what that volunteer is doing or what that volunteer is a part of, or the role that they play on the team. Every volunteer wants to make sure that what they're doing isn't futile. Because if you're doing something that's futile, it's going to lead to major frustration. And this is oftentimes when leaders burn out and when they decide to leave teams, is when they don't understand how what they do is actually making a difference. Now, this is a challenging thing to constantly cast vision for what their role is, constantly be casting vision for the ministry. But all volunteers are asking this: does what I do matter? So for you as the leader, if you can get ahead of this and constantly be reminding your volunteers, this is why what you're doing is making such a difference. This is why it means so much to me that you're doing XYZ. It's going to make a big, big difference for that volunteer. The second question that the volunteers are asking is this: am I doing it well? Am I doing it well? Am I doing what you've asked me to do well? And this actually goes to a lot of aspects for the leader. This speaks to a leader's ability to motivate. This speaks to a leader's ability to encourage. This speaks to a leader's ability to correct. And it also speaks to a leader's ability to equip the volunteers to be doing what they're supposed to be doing correctly and getting better and growing and that kind of a thing. Volunteers, I've found, they want to know that what they're doing it well. They're actually open to feedback. They don't want to show up every week and do something in a way that they shouldn't be doing. They want to get better. They want to grow in that. Unfortunately, what happens sometimes is, as leaders, we can get so busy focusing on other stuff, and we're just happy to have a body in the room or a body there, and we don't give feedback. We don't help them become better at what they're supposed to be doing. This is a detriment to them. It's a detriment to us as well. A lot of volunteers don't get any feedback, and it leaves them wondering, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this correctly? So if you can know that your leaders and your volunteers are asking that question, then you're going to be on the forefront to make sure that you're giving encouragement when encouragement's needed, that you're giving correction when correction is needed, that you're constantly trying to equip and make all of your volunteers and your leaders better. Third question that volunteers are asking is this: do you care about me? Do you care about me? And this really speaks to a leader's ability to truly have empathy and to truly have a heart and a love for their followers, the people who are on their team. Normally, very rarely will a volunteer ask this question from their mouth. They're not going to necessarily ask you that specifically, but all volunteers want to know that the leader actually cares for them. If they don't feel that, then what ends up happening is they feel like they're just being used. That they're just being used, that they're just filling a spot, and that really their presence or lack of presence doesn't really make a big difference. And so, man, as leaders, you've got to be caring. Let's be leaders that actually care about the people that are on our team, the people that we lead. This can be really hard with everything else that's going on, but this has to be such a priority. No better example, clearly, than Jesus, who truly did care about his followers. And at this point, even, volunteers asking, do you care about me? It reminds me of that verse in Philippians. I'm going to read it right now. Philippians 2:3 says this: do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Count others more significant than yourselves. In other words, make sure that you are caring for the needs of other people. Make sure that you're caring for the needs and desires of your volunteers. Make sure that you're putting them first, as often, as prominent as you can. Fourth question that volunteers are asking is this: what am I in the dark about? What am I in the dark about? Leaders become very nervous when they feel like things are happening and they didn't know that this was supposed to happen. And this really speaks to a leader's ability to inform well and communicate clearly. I can't count the number of times that I've been on teams or have observed teams where they're completely uninformed. They have no idea what's coming. They have no idea what's coming up, and they feel like they're in this fog of what's supposed to be happening. And I have certainly been guilty of that myself, of making decisions and doing things and failing to remember, oh, I need to include my volunteers in this. I need to inform them. I need to make them feel like they're in the know. I want them to know before I roll it out to the students. You know, I shouldn't, the first time that they hear about it shouldn't be when everybody else is hearing about it. That can be challenging sometimes if you've got a lot going on, but it's so important that leaders are kept up to date and that they're not left in the dark. And sadly, many leaders fail in this area, fail to be clear in communication and clear in informing, and it's a detriment to those who are volunteering. So let's make sure that we really fight to do a great job in that area. And finally, the fifth question that volunteers are asking is this: is there anything more I can do for you? Is there anything more that I can do for you? Now, this question is not being asked by every volunteer that's on your team. Only those certain ones who really need probably more delegation and more empowerment. And this really speaks to that idea for leaders. Leaders, are you empowering the right people? Are you delegating appropriately what needs to be delegated? There's some leaders that have a larger capacity and want to be able to take on more, and maybe they won't come up to you and ask you, but maybe inside they're saying, hey, is there more I can do? Is there something else that I can take on? I really want to be utilized more in this ministry. Be aware of this, and don't be hesitant about giving responsibility to some of your great volunteers. So these are 5 questions that volunteers are asking, and listen, if you can anticipate these questions and can answer them before they really become an issue for a volunteer, then that volunteer, I'll tell you, is going to be very content in your ministry. They're going to feel like they're wanted, they're going to feel empowered, they're going to stick with you longer, and overall, the ministry is going to flourish. I hope this was helpful for you.